once you have the painting in gray tones, the grisaille, as it is called, we have only the values, but now actually we can get rid of the still life because we have all the information that we need. And this is the cool thing about making an underpainting. The light can change, the still life can change, so many things can change. But you already have your foundation. So now we're going to look at how the sun might hit it, because we remember the direction of the sun, we remember where the shadows go, and we know, and that's knowing by analyzing, by learning, that the shadows are slightly cooler than where the sun hits it. And you can really observe this later in the day when the sun goes low, and you can feel how the shadows are much cooler than the warm glow of the sun. But that also takes a little bit of practice to learn to see how that works. So I don't have the still life anymore. I'm going from memory. Now put in the colors very lightly. The grisaille has dried. It's already a couple of days later. And now I'm going to add color. But remember, it was a white tablecloth. So I'm going to mix a little yellow in the white, and I'm going to mix a little blue in the white, and those two are going to play together. It is winter in America, and now there's many parts that have snow, and snow is actually the same principle. It's actually kind of cool to paint the snow because the sun dictates the color of the glow. It could be almost orange, and then the shadow side will be almost purple. It's really, really cool to paint in the snow. You just need to be dressed very well. You can also paint from your window. But if you ever have the chance to do it, please do so, because it's very subtle. The colors are very subtle, but it's soft. It's almost like a pastel. And we can mimic this a little bit with this white tablecloth. So let's look at how it will be done. So here we have the white, titanium white, and ultramarine blue, and cadmium yellow, because it's close by, it's not far away, so I'm not going to use the lemon yellow, ultramarine blue, and then I add a tiny bit of alizarin crimson to have slightly some purple tones in it. This is by intuition. I don't know why I did that, but sometimes you just have to see I don't know what it does, and if you don't like it, you can always ignore it or wipe it off. You see that I clean my palette knife a lot because I don't want to have any mixing of the yellow with the blue at this stadium. They have to be very separate for a very long time. And then I have also one brush, especially for the yellow, and one brush for the blue. And then I add a little bit of neomagilp. I actually didn't use it, well, maybe one drop I used. Then I'm going to go over my grisaille with the light blue first. This looks a little bit scary because now the darker tones are going to go away. The white, the light blue is much lighter than the darker value of the raw umber. Do it anyway, just follow the steps, and everything that is dark in number, I'd say 7 or 8 here, is going to be blue. Everything that is light is going to be yellow, again with a separate brush. be very, very careful that you keep everything clean. The clean part here is the most important one. As soon as you start mixing it, it becomes a whole different story. We will mix it with a separate brush, so actually we need 3 brushes. One for the last part, which is a soft brush with white, so that we can blend and then also blend the two. But even the blending, we're going to do in a very careful manner. The blue I'm using right now is actually all the same blue. I think it is too blue, it's too dark, but we can always lighten it up. And in hindsight, it was not a bad tone at all. It looks almost white on the palette, and then when you put it on, it is pretty strong in color. Don't be intimidated by it. Just follow the rules and follow this video and see how it eventually comes out, and trust that that is the way to do these things. I will speed up the video later, but for right now I want you to see how the very first steps come about. I'm adding a little white here because I think the blue is too dark, and I'm also actually making already the transition to the lighter part, which is going to be yellow. So I'm trying to make it a transition from the blue to the yellow by adding white. It's still blue, and you will see the difference as soon as I add yellow. When you add yellow, change your brush. Keep it clean, because there will be paint in the bottom layers and you will not notice it, and before you know, it's a dirty color. Also, we only use 3 colors now, and you can add ochre later, which we'll do to tone it down, but to keep it fresh. The whole painting is good to not add any more colors. No burnt sienna, no ochre, no umber, nothing. Right now we only work with actually 2 colors, and you will see how that comes out. Now, a different brush, I grab the yellow, and I'm going to put yellow on all the highlights that are left here. It's almost white with a little bit raw umber. It comes across as a little bit of a gray, very light gray. Not going to blend anything yet, just the lightest light, the white, what would be white, I'm going to add the yellow. Some people leave it at this with the brush strokes and all, and you definitely can do that. And Piet Mondrian, in his earlier years, he made paintings like this of the strong sunlight on the beach in the Netherlands, and actually he became quite famous doing this. These are beautiful paintings in themselves. I like to have it softer, but from a distance, just like we did with the pixels, it will blend. The brush strokes will blend. So I leave that up to you. That might be a technique that you would like to pursue a little bit better and maybe make it your own. This could be a landscape. Keep the brush strokes clear, clean, and bright. And maybe also you have to know very well what you're doing. So an underpainting is not a luxury in this sense, because you already made all these choices where everything is going to go, where the darkest parts are, where the lightest parts are, how the whole object really is. Now I'm already starting to blend a little bit. But actually I grab a separate brush and with white, I'm going on the edges where the blue meets the yellow. And so that will become light yellow and light blue without becoming brown. This has a tiny bit of blue in it, and I'm going to blend it a little bit with blue, but then the transition goes to the yellow, if that all makes sense. It's a lot of fun to do it. I mean, I say you have to be careful, but actually you don't have to be that careful. I think it's a lot of fun. In the meantime, I don't have my still life anymore. If I would, I probably would have more nuance in the colors, add a little bit more red here and there, add a little bit maybe lemon yellow on the highlights. But so I will make another example with the same subject later when I can leave it and then see how I can study it more and make and just add more colors. But again, you have to be very, very careful adding colors because it becomes muddy fast. Now I'm going to speed up the video a little bit, but know that I'm using a blender, the fan brush, go over the whole area. By the way, the paint is pretty thick. These are not thin layers. This is really buttery what I'm putting on. And I can do that because the colors are clean. And then with a fan brush, you can go over it and then it will soften the whole thing. Then I go over it with more white and a regular brush, but a soft brush. Let's have a look at it. In the background, I have added dark blue and a little bit of yellow ochre. And that is what I'm going to use right now for the darkest darks in the white. Again, be very careful because it can all become gray again. Only the darkest parts I really want to have a little bit more darkness without being it too bright. So the background is incorporated now a little bit in the drawing. It blends in the painting, I mean. And the folds that are sharp and defined have a little bit of that mixture of ultramarine, and it's actually raw sienna